Hi, and welcome again to another edition of our daily US pre-market analysis for today, September 30th. All right, let me get started here. Welcome to today's edition. Let me get started with the disclaimer. The information, context, opinions which are expressed in the presentation and on the following slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage, and are solely used for educational purposes, as they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. Your host, I'm Gio Benacourt, a senior market analyst, market educator, and demonstrator of strategies with Vantage Markets, bringing over 20 years of experience in trading the commodities market. I hold a Series 3 license and a CMT candidate. The agenda for today: economic calendar, what's moving the markets, identifying key support resistance levels, and trading with Fibonacci tools. About Vantage. The Vantage ecosystem offers over 1,000 instruments, over 100 sharp patterns, over 100 technical indicators and drawing tools. We offer CFDs on Forex, indices, shares, commodities, and cryptocurrencies. What we stand for: lightning fast execution, award-winning 24-hour support, intuitive tools, global connectivity, and strict regulation, besides secure funding management. All right, I'd like to share my ideas. We want to identify clear, consistent trading habits, being comfortable with the prospect of losing money if the market goes against you, and emphasize risk management using percentages wise between 1 and 2% of your balance of your deposit. That will keep your psychic in check. It will help you control your emotions. Volatility can spike and spreads can widen, so reducing leverage is highly recommended. You can do this by going to your client portal, going to a trading account, selecting the account that you will be trading under, and clicking on the little wheel or the settings, and then you can change the leverage and also change your password if you want to. The use of stop loss is highly recommended. You just never know when the market will make a whipsaw move and take you out. Also, when you build your trading plan, so you want to have things like being able to identify trends, timing your entry exit points, risk management, of course, and having confirmation and validation. All right, I think it's first important that we have a shared common vocabulary for what is technical analysis. So I'm gonna dive right in there real quick. Now, is it just a form of data visualization? Obviously, charts, charting, displaying market data in lots of different data visualization modes is a big part of where technical analysis came from. But you gotta go back hundreds of years to the rice pits of Osaka, Japan, for a gentleman named Munohisa Homa, who invented the Japanese candlesticks as a way to try to capture all of the behavior of traders in those rice pits. We've, of course, advanced the discipline over hundreds of years, and there are lots of different chart types, but I'm going to argue to you now is that technical analysis is far more than just collecting data and displaying it in a way that we can interpret a lot of information quickly. That is part of it. But if you look at definitions from some of the very early texts from the 1920s and 30s, said that technical analysis is about the study of the market itself, all of that price action, all of the investor behavior, everything that's happening in an open, freely traded market is part of our discipline. And I love that definition because it is quite broad. And hopefully through today's session, you'll understand just how broad and the depth of study that you'll go through. We also know that technical analysis is the study of that supply and demand relationship. We care a lot about the behavior and the psychology of investors, and it's one of the hardest things to quantify when you're thinking about investment decisions. I'll argue that it's all represented in this beautiful little element called price, which we can call it also a systematic evaluation. And systems, the reason I bring this quote is that a lot of us have heard about algorithmic trading, high frequency. You might be an advanced programmer You might know Python or R or many other languages, and that is an important way to express some of the ideas. But even if you're not a coder, you're not an algo trader, you should be thinking in terms of systems, a rules-based, repeatable approach. And that's something that was drilled into me as I spent time surrounded by some of the best money managers in the business, is that they have a defined, repeatable process or a system that they follow no matter what the market is doing. All right, a quick refresher from your Economy 101 class. Remember, at a fixed rate of supply, an increase in demand is going to move us up the price equilibrium, or a decrease in demand will move price down the equilibrium. So when we're thinking about an open, freely traded market, demand, greed of investors is inherently pushing prices up, and fear or selling pressure is going to push price down because it's a fixed supply. Now, I want you to hold that thought in your mind because it is perhaps one of the most important parts of the magic that we're trying to unlock here, or the message of the market that we're trying to decode, which is related to the learning that if you take emotion, there would be, or there could be, or there should be, out of your decision making, and if you look at just what is happening and you can quantify that, you have a big advantage over most human beings. I will argue for all of us in the investment discipline, there's a lot of emotion tied to those trading decisions, and that we make each and every day. And those emotional impacts on our decision making can be very negative. So the more you can remove your emotional and cognitive bias from your decision making, the better chance you have of staying on the right side of trends. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second here and start sharing my charts so we can come in and start looking at market fluctuation. All right, so in front of you, you should be seeing my charts. In front of us, we have the NASDAQ on a daily candlestick chart. Analyzing market fluctuation, we saw yesterday market coming towards that 25,000 milestone. The all-time high wasn't even breached, wasn't even touched, wasn't even rejected. However, our pivot point or typical price that we had set up from yesterday's fluctuation is we're gonna have to obviously update that, and so we update that by, again, the typical price is taken by adding the high 24,973.15 plus the close plus the low, 723.55 plus the close 24,808.75 equals divided by 3, and that will give you 24,835. So I'm gonna just clone that first. All right, here we have our typical price for today for that particular asset. So style, I'm gonna again make a blue. All right, there we have. Basically, it's the same one that we had before. All right, so what's on today's agenda for the markets? Let's take a look at the economic calendar. So today is going to be one of those days that we've heard about the government shutdown probabilities. Most likely there will be a shutdown by midnight. That's what everything is pushing towards. Now, at the end, there's been like 22 government shutdowns in history, and the government shutdown per se doesn't really causes market to crash or to fluctuate lower. Actually, the S&P 500 has, in that particular day, when the day of the shutdown is announced, the S&P has actually closed in the green. Now, the implication of this government shutdown for us will imply that if it is a government shutdown, then we most likely won't have the NFP, the non-farm payrolls job data on Friday, because that is a government agency. But that doesn't mean that the Fed is outside of the government, so it won't affect the Fed's decision whether to cut interest rates or not. I mean, they still work. But the only thing that will have an impact will be that we won't have that data on Friday. We won't have the information coming out on Friday. So if that happens, if the government shuts down for, let's say, for example, they shut down tomorrow, starting tomorrow on the 1st, and then it lingers into next week. So Friday we won't have any data. Okay, so let's take a look at what actually will. So for example, on Friday, non-farm payrolls, this won't come out. So tomorrow, ISM manufacturing won't come out. The non-farm payroll won't come out. So these numbers won't come out. All right, so that's that. All right, so let's go back to trading. All right, so looking at my levels of support and resistance, basically I'm going to just tighten my first level of support to around yesterday's opening range, 724. So that's 724, right? Somewhere around there. I'm gonna leave that there as is. Okay. First level of support. The pivot, the typical price will act as a dynamic level of resistance and support of the market, so it'll fluctuate above it and below it. So that's something that we could probably speculate that will happen. Now let's take a look. So resistance, yesterday's swing high, I'm gonna leave that there, and I'm gonna bring down, just make it a value that is mostly feasible. I'm actually that swing high, because the swing high from yesterday was 973, 976, 973 coordinates. So let's just use that as a possible level of resistance, and then my level of support. This is a 3% correction from the all-time high. If we were to be corrected, if the market was to make a correction. All right, so the S&P 500, again, I'm gonna use yesterday's swing high, and then 6720. I'm gonna leave the same level of support that I have from yesterday, and actually bring on my second level to 6670-ish. And so looking for a fluctuation to the downside, perhaps on because of the noise that is creating these government shutdown. I'm gonna bring down my levels of resistance for the Dow. Use psychological values, and using yesterday's range for levels of support and resistance that could be applied. I'm going to use 46,350 as my second level of support. Then crude oil. So we've been pushing lower on crude oil after having this last week, the swing high towards the $67 handle. Has been just making a stronger correction and continue to push lower. Even today, opening with a small gap down, has been closed. So the direction of the market is just to push lower. So I'm going to use 63.5 and then 64 psychological values for resistance. Support level $62, brown value, psychological, and then just half a cent, 6150-ish as my second level of support. So looking for market to continue to sell off, just do a little bit of sell off All right, Nat Gas in rally mode. Okay, we've hit our levels of resistance. Beyond that, so let's just use our trend-based fib extension. Measure yesterday's move from yesterday's low. No, not that one. This one. So from yesterday's low to today's high, today's fluctuation, using the Fibonacci values for levels of resistance. Okay, there we go. We have that. And for support, let's use our retracement tool. So using the Fibonacci values, there we go. We have now our levels of support and resistance for Nat Gas. Gold making all new all-time highs. It's been today during the London session had a nice fluctuation to the upside. So 3,900. The one thing that could probably affect the government shutdown could be the dollar index. The dollar is anyhow is already in depreciation mode, and this will not obviously cause it to appreciate if the government is shutting down. So let's just use yesterday's opening yesterday's opening for our first level of support, second level of support. Silver, our levels weren't hit, so I'm gonna leave the same ones as they are. We're actually in range, equal highs, equal to yesterday's range. So it could be just a day or one of those days where silver could probably just do a little bit of a pullback. Copper also doing a pullback, but let's see how much of a pullback it will do. So I'm gonna use this swing high actually from Friday as my first level of support, and then just yesterday's swing low as my second level of support for copper. Bitcoin moved by thousands again, so I'm gonna choose a higher level of resistance. I'm actually gonna bring down my first level, just making it psychological values. So 1,000 level, 1,012, and yesterday's swing low. Again, Bitcoin moved by 1,000, so that's why it's such a wide range. All right, so we have the currencies. Euro again, looking for a nice fluctuation to the upside. I did recover. I think it's in recovery mode. So 118 still being the target, and I'm just gonna tighten up my support using yesterday's swing low, and then 116,800 psychological value. So looking to go long the euro, the currencies indeed. 134 support just jumps at me. I'm gonna leave the same levels of resistance so they weren't even violated, and again I'm gonna use 133,800. So let's see. We did open gap down. It has been closed. So let's see if more rhetoric comes out negative for the dollar index in regards to the government shutdown. There seems to be no suitable point in that regard into that decision. So that's something that they always do anyhow. It's like, but let's see what will happen anyhow. So dollar index again is basically flattish right now. But I'm looking forward to make another attempt lower. I mean, it did fluctuate lower. So 97 is a target. Let's see if that will happen. And I'm gonna bring down my level of resistance to around yesterday's open, 97.81, 97.81. All right. So now that we have identified our level of support and resistance, I'm gonna break it down to 1 hour. Just to look at what the fluctuation has been for the present hour. The previous hour was up to the upside. Right now there's a little bit of a sell-off because of the news about the market, about government shutdown. So in this hour we're in the red. In this hour we're also in the red. in the green for the Dow, in the green for crude oil. Okay, making a little bit of comeback here, crude oil. Nat Gas in the red, so it's pushing lower, profit taking. Then we have here gold. So gold is basically flattish in this last hour, but the previous hours, after making this double bottom, it just fluctuated to the upside. Let's see if it will see a recovery on gold. Silver also just looking to stay itself north of 46. So copper making a breakdown right now so far. Let's see how much of a breakdown will it give us. Bitcoin in the green. The euro that had a pretty strong momentum to the downside, and the pound is just making a parabolic movement. Dollar index is pushing higher. But let's see how much more will it push. All right, so it's a mixed scenario for the market. So I'm gonna break it down to 5 minutes. Turning on my fractals and turning on my VWAP. And with my VWAP, I like to look for reversals of the VWAP. So when the market is above it, and we have a declining market, but overall uptrend. So long-term uptrend, intermediate or short-term intraday in a downtrend. I'm looking for those reversals, those recovery moments. So let's see if that will be giving us that momentum to the upside. Now we have also in the S&P a nice momentum. So this would have been my confirmation validation right here. Take a look at the Dow, and the Dow is fluctuating around the VWAP. So when it opens, market will fluctuate to the downside. Crude oil, rejection of the VWAP in this case. Nat Gas, fluctuation into the VWAP. So, that's a strong momentum. That's a strong penetration. So I like to see that this candle opens where it closes or opens gap down to enter a short order or selling order targeting the VWAP. Then we have gold that is on this lower end of the band. So the lower bound of the VWAP, that's where gold is fluctuating. So let's see how much more of a correction will it do. It's actually looking to fluctuate outside of the lower band. So if this happens, continues to push lower, that this fractal low will be the target. 3,800 could be a psychological value for gold. Let's see if that will be the case. Just like silver, it already took out the previous fractal low. So, and it was 46 psychological value. So, yeah, metals are having some pressure because the dollar index is pushing higher. So also copper outside of the band. Bitcoin. All right, so here's a possible entry long. So we want this candle to close inside above the lower band and then open it inside that band so we can enter long and target the VWAP. That's what I will be looking to do. All right, let's see what will happen. All right, the euro looking to continue to do a sell-off here, just like the pound is doing, because the dollar index must be pushing higher. Oh yeah, it is. So let's see what will happen if the market will continue to push higher in this regard. Oh, this guy opened with a gap down strongly. So yeah, selling could be done. I mean, that was closed. That was to close that gap. So let's see if it will continue. I mean, it's been basically closed, that gap. So it will continue to push lower. Looks like it. Then we have the S&P also pushing lower. Also, the Dow is just fluctuating around the VWAP. Crude oil pushing lower. Finally, rejection of the VWAP. Nat Gas is entering the VWAP. Okay, so we were looking at this one, right? So I'm gonna enter. Let's just, for example, enter here where the market is, and the target will be the VWAP. I know it's quite broad, and just gonna be doing the opening of the previous candle. So looking for a short entry. So we were saying that we wanted this candle to penetrate, close inside the VWAP, and the next one to either open with a close or to open with a gap down, which it did. That's our validation. So we can enter the trade lower, and our target will be the VWAP, so or 303.5. So that's a sell order right there. Let's see, gold. It's fluctuating off the lower band, but it might just do another lower leg. Silver is also recovery mode, open up with a little gap up. Copper equal lows equal highs, breakout is at the bottom for copper in this time frame. Then we have Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin looking for a long entry. So I'm gonna enter the market where we are, and I'm gonna be and I'm gonna be targeting. Wait a minute. Going long, and we had entered the market here. I'm just gonna enter right here. All right, and we're gonna be targeting the VWAP. Stop the previous swing high. Pretty tight spot. So okay, so we have two trades. Both of them, one we enter short because the market entered the VWAP from the upper band. On the Bitcoin trade, we are entering long because the market is entering the VWAP from the lower band. We have a momentum to the upside, right? We see that the market had fluctuated above that previous high, that fractal high that is showing us, with the candle opening with a tiny gap up, or basically where the previous one's closed. So it just giving me information or validation that the market is pushing higher. RSI is far from entering. It's not that close to entering overbought territory. So that gave me this validation. So we enter in the market long. Then we have the currencies. The euro made a swing low. Our market is open, and we're off to the races. Let's see how much more. All right, so that was it for the dollar index, I think, and now it's going to begin to. This would have been. This could be another entry short if we happen to close in below the band, right? So that will be one possibility. Ooh. All right, so the markets are dropping. I mean, this is basically, again, healthy correction. Market just don't move to the upside in one direction anyhow. The S&P, Dow, stronger fluctuation to the upside. Crude oil, lingering. Our Nat Gas trade. So pushing lower. This is our target. Gold, silver outside the band. Copper, and our Bitcoin trade. Let's see what will happen on Bitcoin trade. This guy moves by thousands. I mean, this is our stop over here anyhow. Let me just identify our stop with a line. I'm gonna put it this color. Alright, so that's our stop. But we're long, obviously. Look at the euro, pound, and the dollar index. Let's take a look at the VIX real quick. Ooh. I mean, this actually is good because there's lower values, means that there's no fear. When we fluctuate towards the 20 value, then there's a lot of fear. So no chances of obviously of having a sell-off in the market so far. This is just profit taking. Let's take a look at the next one. This is the S&P. Dow. We have crude oil, Nat Gas or Nat Gas trade. Oh, continue. That's our target. Okay, so let's identify our stop. This is up here. All right, so since we are pushing lower, nice momentum to the downside being built on this puppy. Okay, good. All right, so since we are in profits, I'll just use this candle swing high just to protect some profits. Actually, I'm gonna use the previous candles swing low. So at least I'm protecting some profits, and I'm just waiting for the market to push lower towards my target. Gold making very wide swings, so it's choppy. The same as silver in this particular time frame. Copper looking to do a breakout, and then actually our Bitcoin trade, it did come down towards our stop, and will it bounce? I mean, we could have been taken out, but we needed to penetrate the because the low was 113.103, and we are 113.105, so therefore it did penetrate it. But let's see. I mean, here's the thing where we say, okay, how much lower should we put our stop? You know, let's see what will happen. I mean, our stop is 113.100, and this candle hit 113.103, so it didn't hit. 113.100 is our stop, so we didn't get stop out, hypothetically, and we're still in the trade. because our stop is 113,100, and this swing low is 113,103. So we were 3 points away from being stopped out. Let's see what will happen. All right, our euro now climb. Oh, this would have been a great entry. This could have been a great entry because we penetrated the VWAP, I mean the panel, the VWAP, closed above it. This one closed open next to it. Then we have the pound also making a nice move to the upside after making this fractal low. Dollar index pushing lower. We want this puppy to continue to push lower. Let's go back to the assets, to the indices. Okay, so that hasn't made out its bottom. We still have 15 minutes of obviously for market fluctuation. So let's see what will happen. S&P, Dow. All right, so our Nat Gas trade was almost in profit. We got stopped out, but we protected our profits. So this was a profitable trade anyhow, because we did make some money. Not all of it that we wanted to, but we did make some money. All right, copper. Let's take a look at our Bitcoin trade and see where we are. Ooh, we might get stopped out here. We just might. Let's see on this trade and see what will happen if we're gonna get stopped out from in this time frame. Continue to push lower. I mean, obviously this is doji. That was our signal that we could probably see a reversal coming, but we're still in it. We're still in the trade. We haven't been really stopped out, but let's see how much more are we gonna get stopped out. And obviously, risk management, depending on how much you're willing to risk. 1% of your trading capital, your deposit, your balance, 1-2%, and you're looking to make obviously twice or 3 times as much. But let's see. We're still in it. Still a minute 47 left on this particular candle. So let's see if we are able to continue to push higher. Let's take a look at the euro. Nice, would have been a nice trade. What would have been the target. Same one here, but we didn't have our confirmation by this candle closing up above the lower band. All right, the dollar index open gap down has been closed, so pushing lower. Let's see if we don't meet the reverse to the VWAP. Let's go back to the indexes. They're pushing lower. Such a wild swing. So we are actually having a range. So we can actually make this the swing high, which it wasn't. So we basically 10 minutes into the opening. So there's 5, there's 10. So this is a swing high in the opening. Dow pushing higher. Crude oil getting ready to make another leg down, probably. And Nat Gas just did a head fake. All right, gold breaking out. Silver looking to move higher. Copper, a breakout, nice breakout to the upside. All right, and we are finally in the green on our Bitcoin trade. Let's see. I mean, again, Bitcoin just moves So this is our entry right here, 113,261. So can we just say, all right, we should have just 113,261. That's our entry. So put a stop there, so that in case that the market does reverses, we at least just lose the commissions or and the spread, or just to break even, just come in and use that swing low, that swing high, and take us out. So at least we didn't lose funds, and we could still be in it, and we out. All right, so that was a break-even trade. I mean, you could probably continue to push higher, or you could reverse, but I think that was just a. So we made two trades. One was a profitable trade, and the second one was also a profitable trade because depending on the where we place our stop, we were actually covering our expense, our cost, trading cost. Nasdaq. And we're pushing higher on Nasdaq at least. Let's see what will happen. We have here the S&P 500 pushing higher. Dow above and out. Let's see what will happen. Also, crude oil fluctuating lower. Let's see what will happen. Nat Gas just idling. Gold fluctuating higher. Then we have silver, just basically also just flattish. Copper, after that breakout, profit taking, let's see if it'll recover and just fluctuate back into the VWAP. Bitcoin still just idling. Then we have here the euro, the pound, then we have here dollar index looking to break the VWAP to fluctuate below it and just come towards the lower band. That could happen. All right, so we're about 15 minutes into the open. We have a fractal high on that opening candle. So, but that's a pretty deep candle anyhow. Let's see what will happen. The S&P within the band, pushing higher. I mean, look, this could be an entry long. We want, so this candle is pushing above the VWAP. We still have a minute left to see where it will close. If it closes above the VWAP and opens not where it closes, or with a little bit of a gap up or down, that could be a long position entry towards the upper band. So these will be scalping trades, the time frame that we're using anyhow. But it is with quite momentum to the upside. So if you do decide to enter the market once this candle closes, then you just really target those fractal highs. We still have 7 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it opened gap down. It'll be closed. And they're gonna come to close that gap down, and it's being closed. So entering a position here targeting right below the VWAP. And the target is going to be 67.10 initially. Actually going to make it higher. The market is moving strongly. Strong momentum behind this move. So right now we are in the money. So making, that's where we enter or stop. I mean, that's our stop actually. So we enter up here. The upper band was our initial target. So let's see how much higher will it push. Or this could just crumbling down. But there's a strong momentum behind this move. I'm confident that we'll reach the 67.12. How confident? 50-50. Not much of a confidence, huh? But 50-50. I mean, really, as speculators, that's what you do. You have 50-50. You could be 50% correct that the move will be supported, or 50% that has been outlived and repositioning will take place. But we're still in it. Volume is still there in the green, so the movement is still positive. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, now it's turning red. Ooh. Ooh, ooh. Uh-oh. E-e. And we might just get stopped out. And if that's the case, then we'll have 2 winning trades, 1 losing trade. I didn't even came close to it. Let's see. We're still in it. We're still in the trade. I mean, the best entry would have been being aggressive. Would have been when the market crossed the VWAP. But let's see what will happen. We basically, okay, now we're losing because we below the entry. We still have a minute 46 left on this. Still pushing higher. Let's see what will happen. See a minute 35, minute 30. Ooh, into red because it opened gap down. Should have just stayed out. Let's see what will happen now. Our entry is 6707, so we basically obviously now in the red. And pushing lower. Let's see how much lower will it push. And 40 seconds left on this particular candle, and we kissed it, and we stopped out. All right. So this is a losing trade. So 1 winning trade, 1 flattish breaking even trade, and 1 losing trade. All right. So that's the outcome for today. All right, guys. So it's 8:50. So for today, we're expecting that by midnight, the U.S. government will shut down. So let's see what will happen. If it does shut down, most likely we won't have that reading of the NFP non-farm payrolls on Friday. Obviously all the government agencies will be closed down, but it won't affect the decision of the Fed whether to cut or not rates. Okay. I mean, obviously they do want to have that data, but I think internally they'll have it anyhow. So that shouldn't be any surprise for anyone. All right, that'll be for me for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.